what we would say, guys, is that the Quran has been perfectly preserved through. We've had it obviously orally transmitted through the generation, so we've managed to preserve. We've got a line going back. Now, I get the argument coming from you guys of you've got different Qurans, Has, Wash, whatever this is, yeah, but these are all tiny grammatical sort of differences when people have written it down over time, yeah. That is how I would debate it now. I respect where you're coming from, but I think our history is more sort of.
Is your Quran preserved physically?
Wait, before you ask that, where are you from?
England.
Huh?
England.
You're from England? Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Life.
That thing, it's heavy. Yeah. Is your Quran preserved physically?
That's a good question. I would say so, but only through that history of oral preservation. So
right, so both will go hand in hand. So
yeah,
if it because oral it was oral first, and then it was written down, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So how well do you think that they preserved it as they wrote it down? Did they make mistakes? Did they have to correct each other? Did they have to remove verses? Did they have to add things in? How do you think that, like, as far as preservation goes there? Because that's the only preservation we care about. You guys can claim oral and say whatever you want, but when we have documents that prove that this preservation wasn't solid, then you're going to have to justify that. So what do you mean by physically preserved? What does that mean to you?
It's a good question, because how I would say it is because we've had it from people memorize it, because obviously the Quran is a lot shorter than the Old and New Testaments. People manage to memorize it, write it down, pass it down the generations. And I think there are, I do believe, but I believe there are problems as well. So this is why I tune into you guys, because I think it's interesting what you've got to say. But I'm coming to it seeking to defend it, but I am open to arguments otherwise as well. But the main thing that's sticking with me is the line of history is stronger from a Muslim point of view than it is from the Bible. Like, you've got the sort of.
Let me tell you what the problem is. So the problem is that Muslims claim that the Quran is perfectly preserved. Now, this would also go into the manuscripts. I really don't care about you guys trying to split it. It has to also, you have to establish that preservation via the manuscripts. You guys like to claim they memorize what he said accurately. So therefore, if he did memorize what he said accurately, then that means that that scribe would not have made a mistake. So when we see manuscripts written, and then we also see them erased and then rewritten on the same manuscript, then that means that there was an issue there. Someone made a mistake. That means that the original writer of that manuscript didn't really hear what Muhammad said properly, and someone had to come erase it and rewrite over it. That's not perfect preservation. And also, I can use that against you guys for spewing a lie, saying it's been perfectly preserved, when we can clearly see in your history, your verses said something else. So is that fair to say?
I think it's a fair argument that what I've seen of our guys trying to defend it, right? God logic, the way you were treated with Muhammad Hijab was a disgrace, to be honest, way that's been painted out. You won that debate. You made him look like a fool. You came in humble and you brought in your evidences. So I respect that.
That's right.
It's true. It's true, man. It's true. But the thing that's giving me the crux here is, right, I just see I know you're saying what there's been like errors in, but these are only minor from the evidences that I've read. These are only like minor differences when people have heard it and transmitted it through an oral tradition, which you're going to get minor differences over generations, people copying stuff. But So,
no, so they weren't minor differences. As a matter of fact, they were so major that Uthman had to come in and burn everything else that didn't align with what he said. This is according to the scholarly research, and it's also found within your own sources as a Muslim. So it isn't minor because he literally did controlled transmission.
Sahih Bukhari.
but I've heard people say that was used by Allah to preserve His word. Finally, like the Uthman revision was used to solid it down from the errors that were coming into it.
So it wasn't okay. So it wasn't preserved then. So you're saying before Uthman did this, it wasn't preserved. It had issues. It had errors, and he did this because the Quran had so many. People was making mistakes. They didn't remember what Muhammad said accurately. Everybody had their own telling of the Quran, right?
That's a good point. I can't really. It's a difficult one.
It's true, and I'll show you why. Because if you study under this scholar here, this is what he says here, and it makes total sense. And this is the reason why you guys have manuscripts that read the way that it does. We have something here called the predecessor text form. All right, and try to remember these because they will get a little confusing. Predecessor text form is the oral or written source the author used. The autographic text form is the form the author wrote as it left the desk. And the authoritative text form is a form of text that acquired a degree of local, geographical, consensual authority. So what this means, right? Number 3 is the most important. Number 3 is the most important is because when you look at your manuscripts, you see that you have the authoritative text form that exists, but you do not have one solid canonical understanding of what it was prior to these local agreements. And so just remember number 3. We're going to go over number 3 right now. A form of text that acquired a degree of local, geographical, consensual authority. The reason why this makes sense is because when you see a manuscript that has a specific reading on it under it, and you see someone erasing it and then adding something to the manuscript after to conform to Uthman's canon, that shows that they had their own understanding of what Muhammad said in their own authoritative right in their local area. Someone then comes and says, this is wrong. We're going to conform this to Uthman's canon. And this is what happened to your manuscripts. And I'll just read this first half here. After Muhammad's death, there were collections of these material and use among his companions that became authoritative versions in their own right. This is seen in that they were recited and used in different geographical locations where their companions went in the early Islamic conquest. These can be considered authoritative text forms, each authoritative in its own right and its own geographical sphere. Now, he's going to explain to you what the problem of that is. It was the use of these different versions that allegedly caused conflicts so severe that they threatened the unity of the empire and promoted Uthman to create a single version. And so we have evidence that they had their own authoritative, understanding of this. They had their own authoritative text form because we can see it in manuscripts. So if we go here, we'll just bring this one up. One of the clearest examples. Look at this manuscript right here. You see the faded writing under the darker text?
Yeah.
That's the lower text. The lower text is what was originally written on the document. That was what was written first.
Okay. Yeah.
The darker text is what was written after. Do you know what the lower text is?
No.
The lower text is scholars even say this themselves. They believe that this was the writing of an unknown companion where they had their own text of what Muhammad said, i.e. the Quran, in their own authoritative right based on what they understood that he said. The problem is that it literally differs. It differs when they pull the lower text out of here and they compare it to the upper text. The upper text is something someone wrote over it. So you get what I'm saying, right? The lower text was written first.
Yeah, totally, man. I see it. Get it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. So now we're going to deal with the lower and the upper text. The upper text says this. The problem with the upper text is that they wrote it to conform to Uthman's canon. So when they're erasing things that were written before or originally on the manuscript and changing it to match up with what Uthman canonized, that's a problem. That means that we can't derive the original reading of the Quran because it shows that it was being controlled. They didn't allow it to freely transmit. It was controlled under Uthman. And you can see that in these manuscripts like this. This is what you will read in your Quran. If they turn away, Allah will punish them with a painful punishment in this world and the hereafter. And there will not be for them any on earth, any protector or helper. This is what it says in your Uthmanic book right now. You go to the Quran, chapter 9, verse 74. This is what you will read. The lower text of this manuscript said this first. If they turn away, Allah will punish them in this world, period. And then it says, and there will not be for them on earth any protector or helper. So as you can see here, one, you have words added to the verse. It becomes a painful punishment. And then the punishment also follows you to the hereafter. Now that edit was put into Uthman's codex. And so that shows why when you see an earlier manuscript and you can see the original writing doesn't match the Uthmanic codex, you can see that there's editing that took place. So then we would ask the Muslim, which one was right, which one was wrong? And they would say, well, the one that Uthman has canonized, that's the right one. The problem is that we have too many examples of the lower text being edited to be changed based on what they assume that Muhammad said. That's the problem.
Yeah. So what you're saying is they've revised it to make it fit more like in Uthman's revision, basically.
Yes, they've edited. And then so this is what the scholar's conclusion is on all the editing that's found within the text. If manuscript evidence is concluded, the idea becomes even more difficult to maintain because of the amount of editing done after Muhammad's death. This means that they were coming in, changing what other people said that they heard Muhammad say via their manuscripts. Scribes were getting their manuscripts changed and altered. You can even see it too, because someone would have their own way of writing the text. And then you can see another scribe with a different style of handwriting come in and add it to the text. You can even see that here. You see that? There's a different way they scribed it in Arabic. And look at this right here. There's a scribble over the top where someone has added something in a whole completely different handwriting, where they're coming in and they're adding and they're editing people's text. So yeah, I mean, I got plenty of examples, but what do you think so far?
It's very, very interesting. To be honest, I've just started looking into this stuff because if I believe something, I've got to make sure it's right. And what I've been told for a long time is this is right, this is the truth, this has been preserved, and I'm only bringing you what I've been brought up with. So yeah, I mean, what you guys saying is making sense. I'm not going to argue for the sake of arguing just to protect something that I believe in. What I believe in has got to be right. I need to research this more, guys, to be honest, because you know a lot of stuff that you've brought to me tonight. I've been told something for a long time that's true. This is right. Christians wrong. Bible hasn't been preserved. Quran's final revelation, and yeah, it's quite heavy duty for me, to be honest, to take us all in.
Yeah, for sure. So check this out here. You definitely can do some studying on this, but I just want to show you, like, look at all these manuscripts that I have, and these all like they undergo changes and erasures and etc. Right? If you get the book, it's free. Keith E. Small's Textual Criticism and Quran Manuscripts, right there at the bottom. It's free on archive.com. You can go into these manuscripts, you can zoom in a lot more, and you can literally see erasing and editing taking place literally on the actual document itself. Let me see if I can just So here we have it up here, the top right. We scroll down. We have editing down here at the bottom. We scroll down here. We're dealing with the lower and the upper text. So when you zoom in, you can see the fading down there at the bottom, and the darker text was the newly written over. So when they look at the lower text, they can definitely see what took place and what editing actually took place. Even right here, I don't know if you can see. You might not notice it. Once you start to understand what's going on, you'll notice it. You think those little dry lines in the back, you think that's just like fading or someone rubbed the manuscript? That's actually the Quran written under it.
It's Quran written under it.
Yeah, that's what the manuscript originally had under it.